Hello, Lucy. Hello, Conrad. And hello, Caleb. I'm glad to have y'all gathered around to hear another tale from the Avengers. Look around. You see that Spider Man, Captain America, and Hawkeye, other Avengers, there are a lot of people interested in this story. And why not? It's a great story with the Avengers, and they are traveling south to South America. Look, the title of the story is Frenzy in a Far Off Land. And look, we still are dealing with the Black Widow, Power Man, and Swordsman, but Goliath is in a far off land and he's got problems of his own. So let's see what happens. We've got stories going on in multiple places. First of all, we're going to start off in the New York mansion of Tony Stark, where brother and sister are talking to each other. First of all, let's hear from Pietro. He says, Wanda, look, I found one of Goliath's old cybernetic helmets from the days when he was known as Giant Man or Ant Man. But try as I may, I cannot understand how he's trying to communicate with the ants. But of course, he doesn't know the right frequency. But he says, Wanda, you have not been listening. What is wrong? Wanda says, Oh, Pietro, I don't know how to tell you this. Tell me what, my sister? I can remain here with you no longer. I must resign from the Avengers. Oh, this is a sad turn of events. Here's what the editor says. Another landmark issue offering additional proof, if any is still needed, that a Marvel magazine is truly an inspired example of contemporary literature. Well, they're not shy about who they think they are, right? Pietro says, leave the Avengers, but why? And she answers, I'd just be a handicap to all of you. Didn't you notice how little I helped recently when we fought Power Man, the Swordsman, and the Black Widow? And of course, we saw that too. She really didn't participate much. It's my hex power. It's been gradually getting weaker and now it's almost all gone. Pietro says, that's strange, Wanda. I've noticed that my speed has been slacking off too. Perhaps we are not true mutants as we thought we were. Perhaps there was some element in our native land that gave us our powers. And now, since we've been away from home for so long, we're losing those powers. Oh, Pietro, answers Wanda, if you're right, then we could regain our powers by returning home. At any rate, we must try it, says Pietro. We shall return to Europe immediately. I'll tell the other members of... Oh, here's Cap. No need to explain, Pietro, says Captain America. I couldn't help overhearing. Then you understand, Steve? Asks Wanda. Of course I do. And so will the others when I tell them about it. You have both served long and well. Let's consider this a vacation, which you richly deserve. Luckily, Goliath has returned to us again, so we'll have his power during your absence. Well, and Cap doesn't mention the Wasp. She's returned. She's helpful. And so, Pietro and Wanda will leave, but Hank and Jan will take their place. But perhaps Captain America's confidence in Goliath is not fully warranted, for the next day, after Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch have departed for Europe, we see Jan knocking at the door. Hank, darling, you've been closeted in there all day. You haven't even eaten. Go away, Jan, answers Hank. I'm not hungry. But you must eat, especially since you're now 10 feet tall. You need food more than ever. Big body needs big food. But there he is, sulking in his chair, 10 feet tall, a living freak, a virtual monstrosity, unable to ever reduce to my normal size. Once I was among the most envied of men, admired, respected, and loved by Jan. But now I'm nothing more than a grotesque object of pity. Whereas I used to cherish the love of Janet Van Dyne, I cannot bear her sympathy. Hank, my dearest, why don't you open the door? Why won't you answer me? I love you, Hank. I want to share your troubles. But Hank thinks, oh, Jan, I love you too much to let you burden yourself with me now. I can't stand seeing the sadness in your eyes. And Jan weeps. It's no use. He's locked me out of his heart. But I'll never stop loving him. Never. She's gone, says Hank. Now I can blast it. Will I never remember not to move too suddenly? At a 10-foot height, I'm constantly upsetting things. Thack. And he knocks over the lamp and a newspaper. What does the newspaper say? As the scowling Henry Pym retrieves the fallen newspaper, he sees, what's this? An item about my old college professor, Dr. Anton. He's in South America doing research on artificial growth of body cells. It's like a stroke of fate. If anybody can help me, it's Dr. Anton. And so he has an idea. He's got a little rocket sled. Minutes later, atop the Avengers HQ building, this is the last rocket-powered air car Tony Stark designed before he left town. He claimed it had unlimited range due to the fact that its own speed constantly recharges the generators, and it's just big enough to carry me. Wow, wouldn't that be fun to tootle around town in? Woo, flying around with the greatest of ease on a rocket-powered air car. It's a 1,000,000 chance, but it's better than doing nothing. And so Goliath speeds off without even telling anybody where he's going. All I need do is continue heading due south. And so we take our leave of the powerful Goliath, but not for long, pussycat. A short time later, Jan walks into the parlor, says, I was afraid this would happen. Hank's door is open now, but he's nowhere around. He's gone. We mustn't make him feel that we're hounding him, Jan. I'm sure he'll return as soon as he learns to accept his height. Cap is right, kid, says Hawkeye. You've got to let a man work things out for himself. But Jan asks, what if he's left us for good? What if he never returns? Well, we'll have to wait for the answer to that question. Even as the wonderful Wasp fears the worst, another dark-haired beauty contacts her superiors behind the Iron Curtain. Black Widow calling Hu Chin, requesting new instructions. Your orders are unchanged. You must destroy the Avengers by any means at all. Do not fail. Then, after transmission has ended, Hu Chin says, everything depends upon the duped female doing her job quickly. Her brief brainwashing may not last much longer. She will dare not to fail us. Oh no? Well, let's wait and see. And there she is thinking, I don't understand it. I know the Avengers are my enemies, and Hawkeye is an Avenger, yet I cannot get the handsome archer out of my mind. But I hear Power Man and the swordsman behind me. Look, there they are sneaking up. She says, I need their help in order to defeat the Avengers. And yet, why do I fear and distrust them? Because they are not trustworthy. Beat it, swordsman, says Power Man. I want to speak to the Black Widow. Ah, retorts Swordsman, but what if she prefers to speak with me? And so these two macho men are fighting each other for the attention of the Black Widow. She is too lovely and far too intelligent to prefer a muscle-bound clod like you to a man of my finesse, brags Swordsman. Muscle-bound clod, am I? Retorts Power Man. I've got a good mind to squash you like the crummy flea you are. Correction, you blustering fool. You don't even have a mind, nor the slightest semblance of skill. All right, smart guy, you just cooked your own goose, says Power Man. I'm going to take you apart and see what makes you tick. Fuck! Then it'll be just me and the Black Widow. Oh! Swordsman falls back from Power Man's mighty blow. They're fighting over me, thinks Black Widow. Let them fight. The practice will serve in good stead when they again face the Avengers. You're strong, Power Man, but not as strong as the force of my swinging sword, brags the swordsman. He's right, thinks Power Man. Even I don't dare face the gleaming menace of that accursed blade, but he can't keep hurling it forever, and when he stops, I'll have him. Now he has to reach for it. This is my chance, thinks Power Man. I'll shatter one of these heavy crates against him and blast it. He moved too fast. I missed him. Crack! I see you've forgotten that my sword has its own built-in powers, more than enough to handle you. Zap! Perhaps an ultrasonic electric bolt beamed your way will take some of the fight out of you. I too can move fast, answers Power Man, and your puny bolt is wasted against my heavy wooden shield. Fatast! But now my strength will finish you. Thump! And Swordsman wonders, he's punching the floorboard. Why? Twang! Now I see, he sprung it, knocking me off my feet. Aren't you glad that the writers of Marvel always explain every move that everybody makes? Otherwise, we might not know what's going on. Twang! You only gave yourself a brief respite, you heavy-handed fool, says Swordsman. Bah! Answers Power Man. You just signed your own death warrant. Nothing will save you now. And he lifts up another big crate. But here comes the Black Widow. Stop it, both of you. It's gone on long enough. It's time to plan our attack upon the Avengers, not upon each other. It's a good thing the Black Widow reminded us. The Avengers had almost slipped our minds, but now we'll return. But look, there's only 3 Avengers left for the moment. And Captain America says, you can't spend any more time brooding over Goliath, Jan. A new mission is what you need, perhaps what we all need. The Black Widow and her 2 costumed helpmates are sure to strike again, but we've got to beat them to the punch. Jan says, I know what you mean, Cap, and the only way to do it is to find them, which means a search. Hawkeye says, that suits me fine. And then Jan suggests, shall we use Plan S by separating? I guess S stands for separating. Plan S it is. And so a scant few minutes later, the grim-lipped Hawkeye takes to the air in the Avengers' speedy, silent, transistor-powered scout ship. He thinks, I hope I'll be the one to find the first trace of Natasha, the swordsman, or Power Man. I've got to do something to make up for the crummy way I've treated the others, especially Cap, since I joined the team. Meanwhile, cruising the streets below, Captain America thinks, not a sign of them on my built-in monitor. I'll play back the film more slowly when I return to HQ. While the wonderful Wasp, having made herself insect size, buzzes above the various underworld haunts of the sprawling city, she thinks this is the 10th waterfront saloon I've scouted so far. If only I could be lucky enough to overhear something. Too bad Quicksilver isn't with us now. He could cover half the county in a matter of minutes. Then, within the smoke-filled hangout, here's a crook saying, I tell you I did see her. She was dressed in black and climbing up the side of a building. just like a blamed insect. Who do you think he's talking about? It's the Black Widow. And he says it was the rundown warehouse over at the south corner of Bleecker Street. So he's even giving the address. Sure, sure, says his friend. And then you saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, huh? So he's making fun of him. He thinks he's not telling the truth. But look, the Wasp hears, the Wasp knows he's telling the truth. So don't believe me. Why do I care? But I know I saw her. This could be the lead I'm looking for, thinks Jan. If he's telling the truth, it has to be the Black Widow. I've got to get right back to the Avengers. Cap, I think I found a clue. We've got to rush to the old warehouse on the south corner of Bleecker Street. Good work, Jan, says Cap. We'll leave at once. You can clue us in along the way. Hold it, both of you, exclaims Hawkeye. Look, Cap, I don't want to be a fly in the ointment, but you've got to do something for me, something important. Okay, speak up, answers Cap. What is it, Hawkeye? It was my fault that Natasha and her two super stooges escaped us last time out, so I've got a personal stake in this caper. Which means, as an Avenger, I request the right to tackle them alone and square things in my own way. Cap answers, it's not necessary, partner, but I know how you feel. Permission granted. And so we leave Hawkeye and Cap and the Wasp, and we turn our attention to South America. Meanwhile, it seems to us that we did promise to return to High Pockets, didn't we? High Pockets is a nickname that they use for Goliath because when he's dressed, he has high pockets. All right, and he says, Stark is a genius. The rocket air car worked like a charm. This is the place. But I mustn't get my hopes up too high. Even though Dr. Anton is tops in his field, the odds are against my ever being normal-sized again. The editor says, does it give you the same thrill as us to see our Titanic Avenger in action again? We sure hope so. That's signed Sentimental Stan. Then, after a swift, skillful landing, Goliath barges into the house. Dr. Anton, are you here? Hello, Dr. Anton? Then he thinks, the house seems empty, but what's that? Valuable equipment, all strewn around. It seems though a cyclone struck here. What happened to Anton? It looks serious. I'd better look around for clues outside. But no sooner does the towering Titan bend his way through the door when he's attacked. Surrender, Giant One, or suffer the consequences. Hold him. He must not escape us. He's surrounded by these three strangely clad figures. His size is mind-staggering. What can we do with him? He must have come to aid Dr. Anton. That means we must take him prisoner also. Bind him quickly before we are discovered. Goliath is thinking, at any rate, I've learned that they have taken Anton prisoner. Now I've got to find out why. And then he says, bind me. Do you think a handful of costumed attackers can really cope with Goliath? Now that I've learned what I had to learn, I'll show you what you're up against. And then an attacker says, he begins to flex his muscles. I cannot hold him. Your weapons, quickly. Swoosh. Weapons? Do you think Goliath will give you a chance to use them? Off me, you fleas. It's my turn now. Come back here. I'm not finished with you yet. Then he thinks, I'll let the others escape. One of them is all I need. So he grabs one of his attackers and holds him captive. You must not harm me, says the attacker. I was only obeying orders, doing my duty. I'm a member of the sect of... Stow it, chum, interrupts Goliath. I don't care if you're one of Santa's reindeer. All I care about is, where is Dr. Anton? Now talk. And the attacker answers, my people have seized him. He is being held prisoner in our forbidden land. Okay, answers Goliath. Now I've got a bulletin for you. It's not going to be hidden any longer because you're taking me there. No, no, you must not do this forbidden thing. None may enter the forbidden land. Save your breath and keep telling me the route. The only thing that can stop an Avenger is another Avenger. And he thinks, and I never realized till now how much I've missed being an active Avenger. When I return to the States, I'll never leave them again. And so we have hope that Goliath will end this caper, return to the States, and become an active Avenger. In the meantime, the Avengers that are remaining, Hawkeye, Captain America, and Wasp, they're hunting for Black Widow and her two allies. And so we have two stories to talk about the next time we gather together for the story of the Avengers, Frenzy in a Far-Off Land. All right, so I hope that you'll still be with me when we finish the story. In the meantime, I love y'all very much. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.